The following weeks passed in a blur of training and briefings. Anna found herself more immersed in the resistance than she had expected. Each day brought new challenges, but also new level of skillfulness and a growing sense of confidence. James constantly supported her, helped and talked her through the occasional moments of weakness, the long nights, the frustrations, and the recurring moments of doubt. His patience was like an anchor, steady and unwavering, always ready to offer a helping hand or shoulder to cry on, no matter how turbulent the seas became. He was never forceful or impatient, his encouragement just a gentle nudge when she needed guidance or a comforting presence when words weren't enough. Their bond had deepened in a way neither had anticipated. It wasn't just about trust anymore. It was the profound bond and understanding between them, the glances that spoke more than words ever could. They moved as one now, whether they were planning their next step or facing a new challenge. With each passing day, the connection between them grew stronger, and the tender feelings that lingered just beneath the surface started to take shape. James had become her constant, a lifeline she hadn't known she needed, and yet one she couldn't imagine going forward without. Training sessions with him had become the norm for Anna, and today was no different. She and James were in the training room, practicing hand-to-hand combat. The room was empty at this late hour, and only the sound of their breathing and the thud of their movements echoed around them. Scent of sweat mingled with the faint smell of the leather of gym mats. James moved with that fluid, effortless grace that Anna admired in him. She tried to match his intensity, but every time she looked at him, her heart skipped a beat. The proximity, the physical contact, it all made her acutely aware of her growing feelings for him. "Let's go through that maneuver one more time," James offered, and took a step back. Anna nodded and wiped light sweat from her brow. "Bring it on!" she muttered cockily, bending down in a stance and trying to concentrate. They squared off, moving in a practiced dance of strikes and blocks. James was a formidable opponent, but Anna had grown stronger and smarter in her technique. They exchanged a few training blows, their movements fast and precise, when abruptly in a swift motion of smart and unexpected attack, James swept her legs out from under her, and they both tumbled to the mat, a tangle of limbs. Anna landed on top of him. Their faces now were mere inches apart, their breaths slowly mingling in the cool air. Her blood was rushing in her ears, but not just from the exertion of the exercise. As they grappled, their bodies pressed closer together. James's breath felt hot against her neck, and she could smell the heady scent of his cologne, a sensual mix of cedarwood and something uniquely him. His skin was tantalizingly warm, and she could feel the strength of his muscles under the clothes as they rolled on the mat. She could see every detail of his face, the intensity in his gaze, the slight soft curve of his full lips. The air between them was charged with intimate tension, a magnetic pull that neither of them could resist. They both paused, and for a moment they just stared at each other, the intensity of their training session giving way to a different kind of excitement. James's eyes became dark and unreadable. "Anna," he breathed out her name after a few moments, his voice low and husky. Anna felt a surge of flaming desire, her thoughts tumbling over each other. Without thinking, she leaned in, her lips brushing against his, hesitantly. James responded in an instant, his arms wrapping around her strongly, pulling her closer. Their kiss was deep and sensual, filled with hunger that had been building up between them for weeks. Then, as the excitement grew, the kiss deepened, becoming more urgent and passionate. Anna felt herself melting into the man lying under her, her senses overwhelmed by the taste of his lips, the caresses of his strong arms, the scent of his sweat mingling with his natural musk. Her fingers tangled in his hair and roamed his body, reaching under the shirt. James's hands hotly slid down her back, his touch sending shock waves of pleasure through her body, drawing her to insanity with longing. Anna felt a raging fire ignite within her, fueled with desire and affection like she had never felt before. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathless, their foreheads resting against each other. Anna's heart beating against her rib cage, her skin tingling from the intensity of the encounter. The realization of what had just happened, little by little, settled in, and a surge of emotions washed over her. Exhilaration, tenderness, and a bit of amazement. She looked into James's eyes, seeing the same sentiments reflected back at her. "We should probably finish the training session for today," she suggested with a cheeky smile, her voice a bit hoarse from the remnants of passion still coursing through her veins. James chuckled in response, and Anna's smile widened. Both were feeling a bit awkward. He lingered, still holding her in his embrace, and slowly traced an invisible line along her jaw with the tips of his fingers. "I care about you, Anna," he ventured, his voice barely above a whisper. "More than I can put into words, truly. But can we keep this between us? At least for now?" He looked at her, searching for understanding. Anna paused for a minute, considering his request. She felt vaguely hurt by these words, and James noticed it. "This is still very new to both of us," he rushed to explain himself. "We need to keep it under covers just for now. Until we are certain." Anna reluctantly gave her agreement. He did make a fair point. "You're right. Let's keep it our secret. For now." She pushed herself up, her legs feeling a bit shaky after the intensity of the moment. James followed the suit, both of them brushing off the dust from their training clothes. The room felt smaller. The air was now filled with this new level of connection between them. They gathered their belongings in silence. As they made their way out of the training room, the corridors felt longer and quieter than usual. James walked Anna to her room, their footsteps echoing softly against the walls. When they finally reached the door to her room, they paused, the minutes stretching out teasingly. Anna turned around and rested her back against the door. She found herself staring thoughtlessly at his lips. "Good night, James," she murmured slowly without moving her gaze. James leaned in, lightly brushing her cheek in a tender goodbye, bringing his face a bit closer to her. In a heartbeat, their mouths found each other again, the kiss more intense and passionate than before. Anna felt overwhelming, intoxicating urge swallowing her entirely. Her hands gripped his shoulders, feeling the solid strength beneath her fingers. They lost themselves in each other, the world around them disappearing once more. But as they pulled back, Anna suddenly noticed movement out of the corner of her eye. Unbeknownst to them, someone was lingering at the far end of the hallway, half obscured by the gloomy lightning. One of their teammates that was helping Anna to learn AT coding and hacking basics, a young woman named Rachel, quickly averted her gaze and hurried away after realizing that she has been noticed, a hint of betrayal and jealousy in her face evident even from a distance. James noticed her too. He sighed, running a hand through his hair with an apologetic grin. "Well, here comes trouble. So much for trying to keep us a secret." Anna, although a bit puzzled by his reaction, couldn't help but smile. "Guess we'll have to be more careful next time." But James's expression grew more serious. He gave her a long, wistful stare, as if he was deciding whether to share something, and the decision was not coming easily for him. "Anna," James uttered through the pressed lips, finally resolving to break the news to her. "There's something you should know." She searched his face. "What is it?" "The woman you just saw, Rachel," James began, his voice cautious. "We used to be in a relationship." Anna's brows flew up in surprise. "Rachel? You? How long ago?" "She's been with us for years, and she's deeply involved in the cause. She is a great member of the team, but personality-wise, she's complicated. At first I thought we had a connection, a spark, but later on I realized she is not the woman I want to be with. It was too much for me. Too much drama, intensity, jealousy. So we broke up, and this breakup was not an easy one. Which is part of the reason I wanted to keep my connection with you away from everyone for now. Anna felt a pang of something she couldn't quite name. "Oh?" James continued. "For me, she is now only another person in the organization, nothing else. But her feelings for me haven't changed. And now, with you here—" Anna took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "What do you want me to do?" James reached out, his hands covering hers. "I just want you to be careful. Rachel can be unpredictable when it comes to matters of the heart. And I don't want anything to happen to you." Anna looked at their joined hands and then back at James. "I'll be careful," she promised wearily. Days passed after that eventful encounter, and since then, Anna couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Rachel's presence loomed like a shadow over their budding romance with James. One evening, as they sat enjoying a cup of coffee in the bunker's cafeteria, they noticed a figure stopping abruptly just a few feet away from them. Rachel. Her eyes were burning with jealousy and irritation she did not even bother to hide. "James!" Rachel spat out scornfully and came closer, her voice cool and controlled. "Can I talk to you for a moment?" James glanced at Anna before nodding. "Of course." As they stepped aside, Anna couldn't help but notice turmoil in James's face as he listened to his former lover. She watched them from her seat. Conversation was clearly taking a heated turn. James kept shaking his head in frustration, looking at Rachel, who kept aggressively gesticulating, occasionally pointing at Anna and shooting her looks of hatred. Finally, James had enough. He growled something at the incensed woman and eloquently pointed to the cafeteria's exit. Surprisingly, Rachel complied, but the look on her face as she left the area spoke volumes. "Everything okay?" Anna asked as James returned. He sighed, clearly frustrated and speechless after the scene that took place. "She is out of her mind." Anna lowered her head and took a sip of her coffee, knowing that was all she would get for now. But when she lay in bed that night, she felt restless with thoughts about their future. She was falling for James more with every passing day. However, Rachel's presence became an intrusive and bitter reminder of his past relationship and the precariousness of their current situation, and she wasn't sure if she would ever get used to it. As the days ahead unfolded, she discovered that her doubts were not at all unfounded. The tension between her and Rachel continued to simmer just beneath the surface, threatening to boil over at any moment. And then, one evening, it did. Women met late one evening in an empty corridor. Rachel noticed Anna from afar and, seizing the opportunity, rushed to her, eyes blazing furiously. "Stay away from him," she hissed menacingly. Anna flinched at this animosity, but stood her ground, her own anger rising. "I don't think that's your decision to make." Rachel's lip curled into a sneer. "You have no idea what you're getting yourself into." "Maybe not." Anna folded her arms on her chest, her voice steady. "But I'm not backing down. Leave us alone." Rachel took a step closer, her voice dropping to a threatening whisper. "If you know what's good for you, you'll stay away from James. Consider this your last warning." Then, with a venomous look, Rachel walked away, and Anna stood alone, feeling a chill running up her spine. The fight against the Consortium was already dangerous enough, but now she had another enemy to contend with, and this one was much closer to home.
This is the end of this chapter. Thank you very much for listening. Please let me know in the comments, what would you like to see further in the story? What do you think of the characters? What was the most interesting thing for you about this part of the story? I would love to hear your opinion and feedback.